All right, so wanted to make a video about budgeting, and this started off as a video about the power of 100K, and I was just like, oh, okay, well maybe we can make a video just talking about how important or how impactful really that 100K a year actually is. And it, of course, it depends on your area and of course your expenses and things like that. One rule that I've heard in the past is the 50/30/20 rule. I always focused on a 30%, or actually, no, I focused on the living expenses portion of it, where, well, and then that was you should only be spending 30% on shelter in terms of living. And that is, I forgot who actually came up with that. That is actually from like a national study, I believe. I'll have to find it. But I came across a couple articles and it came and the 50/30/20 rule came up and I was just like, okay, this would be interesting. This is not exactly what I was looking for in the first place, but it serves as a decent basis of, what we should all be looking for and striving for in terms of budgeting. The 100K is just a number, of course, but it is a very important number in the sense that, if you can actually get to the point of 100K, six figures, which is not easy. I mean, for me to get to six figures now, currently, I'd have to work like a second job or even have another bit of income. So I actually make six figures now, and I have to work a second job. I have my main job, I have a second job, and then in terms of my other income or another source of income would be my investments and the actual valuation of those investments. So it's not really something that, unless I sell those investments, it's not something that I actually get in my hand. So yes and no make six figures. So it just depends on what, um, it just depends on against again your circumstances and stuff like, or how you actually rate certain income. In my case, I'm coming off of last year. I made six figures, and I think the last 2 years, yeah, the 2 years before that, I made six figures as well. But I did have a lot in terms of expenses, so those six figures really went right back into my businesses. So I can't really say I enjoyed them. I really didn't get to. All right, so found this article, and I'll link all these articles in the description below, so you guys can check them out. But Quicken Loans, 20 average monthly expenses to include in your budget. So you guys know my projection spreadsheet and what I do on it on a regular basis. Let's bring that into view. So what I do on it on a regular basis, I just made a new sheet real quick, but you guys can see like all my numbers and what I'm doing. This is actually over 60,000 today. So, and that was just because of the YOLO move that was made. But even with that, there's still high debt and things like that that I have to deal with. So, even with all that, uh, this is like, this is kind of like how I do my budgeting. And I've been doing this I've had this kind of spreadsheet for years and I've modified it a lot over years. This is the current iteration. And it's doing fairly well for me in terms of like, knowing what's next and things like that. But if you go to this article here, it goes over a couple things, and I'll just gloss over these and just I won't read into these. But of course, 20 common monthly expenses, because everybody's different, of course, and it all quote unquote depends, right? So you have your housing, transportation. Actually, I'll read housing. Your costs may vary significantly depending on where you live. For example, the median home value is 380 or $328,000 in New Jersey, but $140,000 in Ohio. Cost of living calculators can help you adjust your estimates based on your location. One cost of living calculator that I actually like, and I will link this as well, is the Smart Asset Paycheck Calculator. So this one's really nice. You can actually, put in the city that you're in. It'll calculate all your taxes and then let you know how much you're going to make per check, in terms of take home and things like that. So that's definitely something that's really nice. And actually, we'll be using that here in a little bit to do some more math on a new sheet that I created here. Okay. All right. So, according to the Department of Labor, the average household household spent 1,600 per month on housing, consuming the largest portion of the average monthly income of $6,500. The number the numbers that follow in this article are based on the Department of Labor data unless another source is cited. So the next thing is transportation. So like, a car or actually bus fare or train fare or something like that, tolls, what have you. Food, utility bills, cell phone, childcare and school costs. This is freaking expensive. So we'll read into this one. Childcare costs range from $401 per month in Mississippi to 18 or almost $1,900 in Washington, D.C. Once your children are of school age, you may need to account for private school tuition, but even if you send your children to public school, you will need money for various fees and school trips. Seven, pet food, pet insurance. Okay, so like, pet food, pet insurance, that's like, oh God. Clothing, after you reach a certain age, clothing is not going to be a big expense for you. For me, clothing is definitely not a big expense, but one, that's a certain age. Two, that's mainly on mindset, because some people will still be buying Prada into their 50s, and it's just like, why? Like, it could be that they have a certain status and look to uphold, especially if they're in business. They may have, in terms of like, they want to look a certain way in front of people. Um, and that could be because they're trying to live up to a certain class or standard of living, things like that, what have you. So there could be so many reasons for that can affect your clothing. Health insurance, that's important too, and that could actually raise depending on your actual health conditions. Fitness, so like getting a gym or something like that. In my case, I don't really have a gym. I just, have my gym equipment. Auto insurance, life insurance, home insurance, fun stuff. Okay, that can mean anything. Student loans, credit card debt, retirement, emergency fund, large purchases. Get your monthly expenses in check. Okay, that's the last one. One thing I do want to look at is student loans. So this is interesting here. Nearly 70% of the 2018 graduates took out student loans, with an average of 29,000, almost 30,000 in borrowing. Based on that amount, you would owe 576 a month, $76 per month if you pay the loan off in 5 years at 6% interest rate. Most people don't do that. I mean, a lot of people just really don't do that. They always pay the minimum. The minimum is usually a double, maybe even a triple digit number. If it's a triple digit number, for some people, that is devastating to their budget. So think about that. And if anything, they focus more on credit card debt because that is a little bit more a more immediate debt that they have to pay off, and the interest rates are usually higher. It says like 15%, but I've seen, of course, usually 20 and 30% depending, especially depending on your credit. So if you carry the average balance of 5,300 and pay 15% interest, you could pay the card off in a year with monthly payments of $481. That's like $5,000 balance. Okay, I mean, that's not too bad. You can pay it off in a year, depending on who you are. Like, I've actually recently tried to increase the limit on some of my cards, and then it came back that I couldn't do it because of things that I have out there. Um, Also, if for a while strategically, I actually kept my balances low on my cards, kind of like just enough, because then it would be a lot easier to get out of the hole with those cards. If anything, if Dave Ramsey would hear this, he'd be like, "Stupid, stupid, stupid." But yeah, I hope you guys saw that risky business video and what I'm doing there with the YOLO Move 2. So far that's up like about, let's see here, YOLO Move 2 is currently up 8.58%. So I think as of when I made the video, it's probably like up 4%. But yeah, it's starting to kick up a little bit, which is nice. So it's mostly Ethereum leading the charge on that, with a little bit from ADA. Also, XLM is not doing too bad, not great. Algo, kind of nice too. But yeah, so those are like the 20 normal things that you have for your expenses, or 20 average monthly income, monthly expenses. All right, cool. So let's go to this article here. Living expenses, what are they and how do I budget for them? So this goes a little bit into it. This is great for people that are younger, in their 20s, and they're in their 20s and they're looking to huh, they're in their 20s and they're looking to get started with financial success, long-standing financial success, longevity in the financial world. So this is definitely a good article for people, along with the 20 average monthly expenses, to kind of help you manage your own expenses and also cut things down a little bit, so you know what actually is going to be or what's actually coming up pretty soon. Sorry, or that you're actually going to be hit with in time as you get into the world. So an article like this is good for that. What is considered to be a living expense? So this goes into and breaks down each category. So housing, food and groceries, clothing, healthcare, transportation, miscellaneous. How much of my income should I spend on living expenses? So this talks about the 50/20/30 rule, and this is where I went into the next article, which has a nice calculator and a video, which we will watch here. All right, so going over to this article here, 50, 30, 20 budgeting rule, how to use it, instructions plus calculator. So this is also on Intuit or Mint.intuit. Um, Mint is a great app for basic budgeting. My spreadsheet, I use that, and I mean, I do a little bit too much with that spreadsheet, but it's a great source, and it's like one level below programming, which you guys see me do. And I didn't do a live stream tonight. Tonight's Saturday, so I didn't do a live stream tonight because I got my mom in town, and also just taking time to rest as well. All right, so let's go ahead and watch this video. Minute 58 seconds. Actually, let's speed it up a little bit. Minute and a half. There we go.
You may have come across the 50-30-20 rule as you plan your finances. But what exactly is it? The 50-30-20 rule is a method of budgeting that can help keep your spending in alignment with your savings goals. It divides your after-tax income into 3 different buckets: your essentials, your wants.
So what's nice about this, and what they do point out, which is great, is that this is not your gross. This is your after tax. This is your take home. This is what happens after your taxes in terms of like what you actually have left over. And this is more realistic. Because a lot of people will base certain things off of your gross, and it's Drake has a great line. It's gross what I net, and he means that in a good way. For most people, though, it's actually really gross what you net. You don't get shit.
And your savings. Here's how you can apply it to your budget. Set aside no more than 50% of your income for the absolute necessities. In general, these will include housing, food, transportation, and utility bills. Any expenses that you'd almost certainly have to pay, regardless of your job or current place of residence, would be considered an essential. Set aside 30% of your income for your wants. This would include unnecessary expenses that enhance your lifestyle, such as cable bills, trips to your local coffee shops, or buying those new shoes you've been eyeing. Take a look at your expenditures in your monthly budget, then decide which ones you're able to cut down. The fewer costs you have in this category, the more progress you'll make paying down debt and securing your future. Set aside the remaining 20% for your savings. Think of this as your get-ahead category. This includes savings plans, retirement accounts, debt payments, or rainy day funds. This category of expenses should only be paid after your essentials are taken care of, and before any personal spending. Whether you make $30,000 or $150,000 a year, establishing a good habit like this will last you a lifetime.
One thing they brought up is that the savings should go after. If you listen to the Richest Man in Babylon, the savings should always be first. So take that with a grain of salt, or take that as you will. Some people save after they pay everybody else. But in the Richest Man in Babylon, which is a great audiobook, the 4-hour audiobook is here on YouTube for free. There is a channel that has it, and it has had it for well over a year, 2 years now, and that book really kind of changed the outlook of how I see things. And my business partner put me onto that, and I remember the first weekend I heard it, I listened to it twice, and I've listened to it probably 4 times total. So that's a great audiobook, and it really is one of those things where it's like a yearly thing, kind of how you yearly you do your taxes. Yearly, you should be listening to The Richest Man in Babylon to kind of do a course correction. But in this one, it says, you're going to be doing your savings after your essentials. In The Richest Man in Babylon, it says, no, you pay yourself first always. It's kind of akin to the or akin to the for a 401k, how that gets taken out off top. I think you should always pay yourself first as best as possible. Always put something away, and go from there. Uh, I don't totally agree with doing it after anything. And I mean, to the point or to the defense of this video, it's saying after your essentials, like making sure that you live, you eat, and things like that. But you have to really think of savings in such a way that you have to be, you have to think of savings in a way that it should be your high priority, your highest priority.
Ready to get started on your 50-30-20 budget? Download the Mint app on your app store to manage all your finances in one place. And make this the year you build a strong foundation for your future.
Okay, yeah, definitely let them get their what's it called? Their recommendation off there or their ad there. They definitely deserve that. So if I look at my monthly income in terms of what I do for just my day job, actually let's go ahead and add my night job in there. My night job, I think I make like 450 times 4, so 1800 plus 5760. Right. Yeah. All right, cool. So, yeah, 7560. 7560. All right, so this is kind of like what it would look like for me. So like how much I would put away for savings and wants and stuff like that. So I do fairly well with this because like my housing and essentials and stuff like that, I have to kind of look at that a little bit. Actually, let's look at it together. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is where I look at my monthly bills. And on my monthly bills, so my essentials, let's look at this here. Essentials, wants, savings, and in terms of my essentials, that would be the essentials 50%. So essentials in this case, and by their definition, is housing, food, transportation costs, and utility bills. So that would be car insurance plus electricity plus water plus my dad's insurance. No, that's not an essential. Auto plus food. Um, hmm. Oh, and then plus this. Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm kind of like right under that. I mean, I should be paying 37.80 in essentials. So I'm pretty much right under that. And then wants. So we'll say equals. And I spend a little bit more than this because I all the stuff I'm doing with my house and all the things that I buy for like um yeah, all the extra things stuff that I buy too. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so we'll go ahead. I guess this would be a good course correction exercise for myself so you guys can actually see it. So let's see here, entertainment and music. And that includes all the stuff down here, by the way. So if I break this down, or if I click on this, this is me paying the internet at my home. This is all my stuff, and then this is like the stuff that I pay at my mom's house, still. So actually, oof, I owe her money for her auto insurance. I do pay her TV and her internet, but I do owe her money for her auto insurance. So I gotta talk to her about that. She's actually up here for the weekend, which is why I didn't stream. Um, okay, so internet, alarm, T-Mobile, email, that's actually hosting, and then another thing, a couple other things here. So like G Drive, YouTube Red, Patreon, the money I give for that. So I need to actually start giving a little bit more money for Patreon, but of course there's a reason why I don't. Yeah, so that's what that is, and that's what that means. So savings. Why did that just change? Oh, okay. Give me a sec. Let me just turn this thing off here. All right, good. All right, so, and then in terms of savings, I should be doing more. So, what I do right now in terms of savings with everything that's going on, I actually set it up to where I invest more per month. On a weekly basis, I invest probably about 250 a week, 4 weeks in a month. So we're looking at about $1,000. So I'm a little bit under the savings as well, right? So yeah, I'm actually well within the levels here in terms of what they say. A lot more money goes into my investments, as well as, repaying debt, actually. So a lot more money goes into investments and repaying debt. So yeah, I mean, I do pretty well based off of this calculator, or based off of this 20 this or sorry this 30 50 30 20 rule. Um, and you guys can actually use this. This is great as a way to say, okay, where am I and how am I starting? So as you can see with my spreadsheet, um, I'm doing well in some levels. Savings I think should be higher, but my wants are lower in terms of, like, what I pay for streaming services and stuff like that. I did just sign up for Netflix because I have my mom's friend is here and she wanted Netflix. So I said, yeah, no problem. I have a guest and it's not a problem. So I just signed up for Netflix. It's like $18. But what I'll probably do is kind of get rid of it after it. Maybe I'll probably have it for like maybe another 2 or 3 months, but I don't watch as much TV and I watch a lot more content on YouTube. So, and I also have Funimation as one of my service providers as well. So I kind of already pay for some streaming and things like that. But yeah, I've cut back quite a bit in terms of like clothing and things like that. I spend quite a bit on, what I have to do around the house, in terms of like getting gravel to level up my driveway, getting light bulbs. I did kind of go recently, kind of go crazy and I bought like 3 different pairs of shoes. Um, One of them, or I bought 2 pairs of the same shoe just for walking and exercise, and then I bought one shoe for just walking around, an everyday shoe, because my other shoe I kind of destroyed. And then I bought boots recently for my night job. So, I'm actually do well within these levels here. I can also do better with the debt as well, and what I have to do with that, and also the debt repayments. But we definitely should be looking at these things and saying, okay, how can we better budget? And how can we actually make sure that well within lines here, or well within the quote unquote standards? And the standards are there for a reason, because how many people are actually saving 20% of their take home? How many people are actually keeping their wants, their consumer spending down to 30% of their actual take home, and their essentials, the groceries and so on and so forth? How many people are maybe overspending on their essentials and cutting into their savings? Because usually it always cuts into your savings. A lot of people just do not save. If you look at, if anything, say for instance, your living expenses is maybe, or your essentials, or your quote unquote essentials, mortgage or rent or anything else, transportation costs, maybe that's 60 or 70% in some cases. You're not going to take that out to wants. You're not going to want to buy less in terms of consuming anything. You're going to want to buy that TV. You're going to want to buy that PlayStation that comes out, Xbox, what have you, whatever trivial thing, clothing. I mean, a lot of people go through this. Some people don't. So, I mean, that's just how it is. Some people aren't like that. They're not heavy on consumerism. But then what happens is a majority of people, where a lot of people are under like the poverty line, or closer to the poverty line, or under even middle class, a lot of this money gets taken out of their savings portion, because, hey, I'll save later, or I'll get to it later, so on and so forth. We always push these things off, and then it hits us in the face, and we don't even have $20, much less 20% of our take home, because we're so knee deep into consumer debt, myself included. I mean, you guys see my numbers and how I'm doing it. I try to be strategic, but sometimes I fall into these traps as well. And this is kind of why I wanted to make this video, or talking about this a little bit more. But if we look, if we go further in the last thing here, if I we cross, and they have another calculator in terms of they have a cost of living calculator, like a cost of living comparison calculator, and it's kind of crazy. And I actually went over that in a past video. I think it was the video where I talked about Quavo and Saweetie, and putting that money together and spending money on frivolous things. All right, so if I go let's go Pay frequency bi-weekly. And we're gonna put in your salary. My salary for my day job is 75. Oop, wish. 75 grand there. And it does everything for all my taxes and what that means. So federal income, state income tax, local income tax, FICO and taxes, insurance. Okay, all right, cool. So after everything, monthly take home is about 22. Oh man, damn it, I had those numbers wrong. Oh man, that's not good. Uh, yeah, my numbers are wrong here because it's not 2880 is my gross. Holy shoot. Um, in the spirit of keeping things on the up and up, and making sure I'm looking good here. I think my 1950 times 2 plus 1800, so 5700. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's even worse than I thought. 5700, I did that off of growth. So even with that 1500, even with the 1500, I am still under on all of those. So yeah, I'm still doing pretty good. But that's my take home. There we go. Sorry about that. My take home from my day job is like 1950 per check. I get paid twice a month on that, or every 2 weeks. Because some month have 3 pay periods. But yeah, so you're looking at 5,700 after tax income. Yeah, I'm still under, and I'm actually doing closer to the savings goal. So that's a plus, if you will. But I don't like that because it's like, I want to save 1,500. So there's that, and then but my wants is actually cut quite is down, except for the spontaneous spending where I have to buy, you know, gravel and all this other stuff. But I put it on my Lowe's card, so that's kind of deferred. Uh, Not the best thing, of course. Anyway, so as you can see, 2254. So yeah, that's what I'm looking like. So this is really good calculator, or using this to actually look at your pay, and this is wrong. I hate this. Be mindful though when you look at or when you're doing this. The the reason why I make 1950 is because I take out about 6% and put that to my 401, or 5% and put it to my 401k. I think I'm gonna up that to 6% now because of my night job. Since I make a little bit more, I can actually do with a little bit less and put that towards my 401k. All right, so this is bi-weekly, and this is really good. And then you can also put in other things in there, such as like I think 401k contributions, so pre-tax deductions. And here we go, 401k fixed amount, percent of gross pay, and then you could do like 5%, right? And it'll actually calculate all that for you. And we're a little bit closer to what I actually get into my hand. So that's a nice thing too, and I'm glad I actually showed you guys that because you can see how you can add in all these little things. Maybe even like child support if you guys have it, HSA. I think it's like a health savings plan and an FSA, life insurance and other things here. So you can actually change those things, and they give you. This is a very nice tool that actually helps you budget. If you have a significant other, you can actually budget with them, and then combine everything, and then you guys can see everything that's going on, as well as working towards repayment of any debts, school loans, and things like that. But yeah, so wanted to come to you guys about that video, and or about with a video about this. Not exactly how I wanted it, but I think this is going to be a better video in the long run, in terms of giving you guys more what's it called, pertinent information, if you will, that it can actually really help you. All right, as always, thanks for listening. I appreciate you guys, and wish you all the best. Peace.